I think you can start, Najib sir.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome to the CxO Global Forum. Before we start the topic, which is something that we are all very, involved with and keeping abreast of, especially related to the digital landscape of Pakistan, and the overall activities that have been going on for the past decade, and as we enter the new era where the digital-only banks will be coming up. So I think we have seen a very interesting trajectory of the digital inclusion and digital adoption in Pakistan. So इसी चीज को I think to discuss it in a bit more detail, we have managed to get some expert panel for you. जिसमें सबसे पहले let me introduce Faisal Malik साहब. He's representing HBL. He's head of enterprise strategy with HBL. And he's been, with or abreast of digital services and digital banking for a number of years. So welcome on board, Faisal. उनके साथ we have Alia Ahmed. She's also comes with decades of experience in digital banking and digital channels. Formerly, she was with the UBL, and now she is working, on a separate, area. उसके साथ साथ we have Alia Zafar from Bank of Punjab. She comes with also decades of experience in human resource management, and I think that will be one of the key areas of our focus as well on the HR or the technical talent or the talent that we need to go and advance further in our digital journey, especially in Pakistan. So let me just first start. आलिया अहमद मैं आपसे बात करता हूँ कि you've been an influencer in the digital financial services for quite some time. So what kind of emerging technology investment trends are you looking at? Because I was looking at the if I look at the scheduled banks or जो हमारे commercial banks हैं in Pakistan, so on average I've seen an IT spend of not more than 4-5% of their total revenue. So it's not really a global average is around, I think, 10 or 11%. But within the Pakistan context, as the technology is coming up and as we are maturing and as we are transforming to the digital, arena. So, what kind of technology investments and what are the emerging trends that you see, in Pakistan?
Yeah. So it was very interesting. Amir Saab, I was based out of UAE before coming to Pakistan and joining UBL for 4 years, and now I'm back to Doha. So I've got this perspective of looking at the bank in the Middle East. And obviously, when we were in UBL, we had this design thinking lab where we were also looking at what other banks are doing globally. So Pakistan right now is a very happening market. And, there's a lot of investments going on. There is learnings. Then there are things that we are trying to do on our own. So what I see here is, first of all, from the regulatory perspective, I think the regulator is very supportive of the digital trends and technology adoption within Pakistan. I recently moved to Doha, and I was surprised to see that we cannot open bank account online here. Whereas in Pakistan, we have it for local Pakistanis as well as for overseas Pakistanis. So that's a big thing. But for 4 years, I've seen a lot of investment going behind fintech solutions, payment technology. Rast in itself is a big example. I think what we are doing there is really something remarkable. Then obviously a lot of investment is also going behind AI-driven risk management tools, machine learning algorithms, so that we can reduce the risk management and for investments and from the customer point of view. So similarly, from the bank that I was working in, we were investing heavily in CRM technologies so that we understand our customers better, and through predictive modeling and data analytics we can actually give them better solutions and offers. So a lot is happening, I think. There are still many trends which we need to tap further on, but I think it's a very interesting market right now in terms of investment in digital technologies in Pakistan.
Thank you, Alia. Yeah, no doubt. I think the regulator, of course, has played a key role in the promotion and of the digital technologies, and of course, as we now enter that era when the digital retail banks will also be coming in. But that doesn't mean that the existing 33 commercial banks and about I think 13 now microfinance banks, they are not really lagging behind. I think they are also going through their digital journeys and transformation. And I think Habib Bank is one such bank, which is one of the pioneers, in digital transformation. Uh, Faisal, how one of the questions that has, ठीक है, Pakistan, we have still not, obviously, we are still in a, अभी हम early stages में हैं, उसमें कोई शक नहीं है. But we have seen tremendous growth. If you look at the data, over 100% growth in the last 2-3 years in mobile banking usage in terms of transactions, चाहे वो internet banking हो, mobile हो, ATMs के ऊपर भी अगर वो तो हो ही रही है. Even e-commerce, is picking up क्योंकि ज़्यादातर तो cash on delivery ही हो रही हैं transactions. But the point that I wanted to make was that I see that the bank branches nationwide, they continue to grow, at the rate of maybe 5 to 7% per annum. Uh, why do you think that the branches, the brick and mortar setup is still growing and not maybe reducing, or not reducing, or at least slowing down? So how do you see that, in the present context of digital transformation?
Um, so thank you so much, Najib Saab. Well, I think I belong to one of the largest banks in the country. So obviously, I'm going to speak with the perspective of having a large footprint or a physical infrastructure in place. Though the digital banking is growing massively and penetrating deeply into the DNA of all the banks, but I still feel that it will take. I mean, wearing the hat of of commercial bank or a brick and mortar style bank, still feel that there is a need of having a physical presence, in the network. And the reason being that the trust factor. It is critically important for people in Pakistan, especially when we do not have that much of penetration of banking services across the country amongst the masses. There is still need or a lack of trust that is there on the financial services or financial sector. लोग अभी भी कैश होल्ड करते हैं, आपस में कैश डीलिंग कर रहे होते हैं, बैंकिंग सर्कल में नहीं आए, forget about the digital circle. So it is a journey that we are all embarking upon, where we do as much digitalization as possible, but still the brick and mortar is not going away. It's slowed down. The progress is slowed down. As an example, I can quote you that in 2018 we had almost 18 million customers altogether, with or around 1700 plus branches. We are in 2023 now. We have almost the same number of branches. शायद थोड़ी सी कम हो गई होंगी, hardly, but more or less the same number of branches. But our customer base has doubled. So it means that the digitalization is happening across our bank and also the industry. But at the same time, the brick and mortar is not going away. Like I said, trust is one factor. Then in order to create the brand presence and the physical infrastructure is critically important. I mean, it's nice to have a mobile app, it's nice to have digital presence, but वो जब आप घर से बाहर निकलते हैं, आपको एक बोर्ड नजर आता है, आपको एक दुकान नजर आती है किसी बैंक की या किसी सर्विस की, that creates that elevates the brand presence. Some of the complex financial transaction will still be happening inside the branches. I mean, you can provide the basic banking services and some of the transactions through mobile app, but some of these SME related and the core, the in fact the micro finance related or micro sector related transaction will still be needing some of that brick and mortar infrastructure in place. um, Regulations play also an important role. We, as the largest bank in the Pakistan, we are still present in those areas. शायद आलिया भी इस चीज़ को acknowledge करेंगी from her organization's perspective, that we are still present in those areas where no other bank is present. I mean, we need to have that presence as a it's a responsibility on us to be available in the unbanked areas also. Large number of branches of HPL are present in those areas where no other financial institution exists. So there is a regulated requirement that we have to maintain our presence there. Some of the jurisdictions need regulation, have certain regulations where we need to be present at all times. Some, I mean, I'm not in favor of it, but I think, in order to address certain client related issues where none of them or most of them will not be able to reach out to a call center or to a number or to a digital interface to resolve their day to day issues. Sometimes होते हैं issues बड़े network के अंदर बड़ी complex transactions होती हैं, simple transactions में भी होते हैं. So they need that outlet to go and knock the door at in order to get this service. So I think though the pace is going to slow down of the growth of the brick and mortar, but it ain't going away.
No, true. I think the phygital part, I think you rightly said, I think we are still अभी far behind. क्योंकि अभी मैं देख रहा था, I think we have जो हमारा इस वक्त branch network है, I think it's around including microfinance banks, it's about 17,600, 700, which translates to about 14 branches per 100,000 adults. जो even more mature markets हैं, I think वहाँ पे even 25, 26, even 30 तक certain European countries में हैं. और in certain markets, of course, वो कम भी होती जा रही हैं as their, I think, adoption and digital transformation, is moving ahead. Obviously, we have a large, population. And one thing, just to, take it forward, आपने अभी अपने millions of customers की बात की. मैं उस दिन ऐसे हिसाब लगा रहा था कि approximately अगर मैं commercial banks, microfinance banks, the recent, EMIs or microfinance institutions, इसमें अगर मैं सिर्फ depository accounts की number of accounts की बात करूं तो we are close to around 260 to 270 million accounts. हमारी adult population is around 130 million. So this is almost literally double the number of accounts. So obviously, we are talking multiple accounts as well. हर एक के पास दो, तीन, चार, accounts जरूर हैं, especially in the, urban and semi-urban areas. तो उसमें financial inclusion पे, as the central banks का भी objective यही है, government का भी objective ये है कि हम ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा financial inclusion करें, access to finance and primarily access to lending is very critical. But there is this strange, difference in terms of financial inclusion की बात करते हैं तो हम लोग कहते हैं 20-30% of the population. जब हम accounts देखते हैं, they are double the number of adult population. So, but anyways, so hopefully, maybe we will reach some sort of or come up with the number जो per actual number of customers कितने हैं. I think that's the real questions ताकि financial inclusion का भी हमें पता चले और हमने आगे क्या उनके लिए करना है. अभी आलिया ने भी पहले technology and of course, we are talking about the exponential growth of technology and जो आलिया जफर आपसे अगर मैं पूछूं कि उसमें कोई शक नहीं है कि टेक्नोलॉजी सबसे पहले आती है फिर इंडिविजुअल अडॉप्शन उसके बाद आती है और आई थिंक सबसे जो लैग बिहाइंड करती है वो पॉलिसी साइड होती है. सो कीपिंग दैट इन माइंड बिकॉज कमिंग फाइंडिंग द टैलेंट फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, वैसे तो हमारे पास टैलेंट माशाल्लाह है तो सही, स्पेशली when it comes to general banking. Now with the digital technologies coming in, with all the latest tools that are coming in, how do you find the talent, in the market? And from my understanding, I think banks are finding it quite difficult to find, a good talent who can really take this initiative forward. आपका क्या इस पे thought process है?
So thank you very much. Yes, I think this is one of the major problems which the industry is still not really facing fully. I think from a strategic perspective, from a national perspective, I think we are lagging behind in terms of the kind of skills that we require, first of all, and the kind of skills which are available in the market, and what is the sellability of those skills as well. So when you bring all three together, you realize that we do have a major challenge coming forward. Going forward, especially when we have 10 digital banks coming into the market as well, I see that there is going to be a talent war. The second component, I think, which we seem to be sort of turning a blind eye towards is the fact that we have a very clear exodus out of Pakistan of highly skilled workers. And that actually adds to the challenge. The third challenge is the pipeline that is coming in at a base level or at a mid level, which is not really of the quality that you require, which essentially means that you need to invest a lot more of time, energy, and money as an organization if you want to upskill and upgrade any of the employees who are coming in. And also the problem of retention also comes up. So all these components actually, when you look at them together, jointly create from the HR perspective, people perspective, a major challenge which needs to be looked at now rather than tomorrow. So yes, it is a real challenge finding good skilled resources in our market. Now, what we can do about it, there are two very clear things that can be done. One is, of course, retaining good talent within an organization. The second component, investing in that talent. And how do we invest? So one way of investing is, of course, the usual capacity enhancement. But the evolutionary component of future of work requires that we are able to do that, looking at what are the skills which will be required, not just today, but in the next 3 years and in the next 5 years, not just within our organization, but within the community that we are serving in, which is essentially the industry also. So we cannot really close our eyes to upskilling and reskilling the workforce for future of work. And this is something that we have been doing at Bank of Punjab. And we've gone into multiple collaborations with very good universities within Pakistan, outside Pakistan also now. So essentially, we need to retain, we need to upskill, reskill. We also need to see what is the pipeline coming in and prepare the pipeline also, so that there is a very clear element of skilled resources coming in as well. So you have to look at both ends, the entry point and also the exit point when you're looking at these, and you have to strategize accordingly. So that's how I think we can take it forward.
Very rightly said, especially on the point of the exodus of the skilled talent that we are losing, unfortunately. But जो इस वक्त talent मौजूद है, obviously you are engaged just like with many other financial institutions with various academic institutions of the country, and especially जो हम लोग जो fresh graduates let's say अगर hire करते हैं, या do you see a gap in terms of whatever the academic curriculum is and what the on ground requirements are when they come in? Are you trying to work with the educational institutions to fill that gap? Because generally we see that wo bechare students jab aate hain fresh they are like quite dazed. Maybe their perceptions are totally different, and when they really come into the job market, the reality is quite different. So how is that being addressed, if I may ask?
Oh, thank you for that question. So जी बिल्कुल, हम लोग actually we are working with most of the big universities within Pakistan. We don't work essentially in one direction only. So हम लोगों का मकसद क्या है कि we want के जो हमारा ecosystem है वो develop हो. So ecosystem develop करने के लिए बहुत important है, बहुत ज़रूरी है कि हम हर उस कदम की तरफ चलें जहाँ पे हमें और हर वो कोशिश करें जहाँ पे हमें ये लगे कि ये जो यूथ है हमारे वो पाकिस्तान से बाहर ना जाएं, पाकिस्तान में ही उनको वेदर वो एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप की साइड है या फिर वो विद इन द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन उनको ला के ट्रेन करने की बात है या फिर के यूनिवर्सिटीज़ के साथ करिकुलम डेवलप करने की बात है, वो ऑल दोज कंपोनेंट्स नीड टू बी लुक्ड एट द सेम टाइम। सो इन सब चीज़ों पे हम काम करते हैं विद इन आवर बैंक कि जी हम किस तरीके से क्या क्या हमें टैलेंट मिल रहा है, उस टैलेंट को हम किस तरीके से व्हेन वी हायर देम हम किस तरीके से उसको इंगेज कर रहे हैं और किस तरीके से उनको एजुकेट कर रहे हैं, क्योंकि एजुकेशन में दो चीज़ें, दो एलिमेंट्स आते हैं, एक तो आपका तालीम है और एक तरबियत है। वो दोनों कंपोनेंट्स को क्या हम इनकॉर्पोरेट कर सक रहे हैं एज एन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन व्हाइल वी आर गोइंग फॉरवर्ड बिकम्स एक्सट्रीमली इम्पोर्टेंट। दैट्स व्हाट वी आर डूइंग राइट नाउ एज वेल। फिर यह है कि आपका जो इकोसिस्टम डेवलपमेंट में आपने फिनटेक्स को कैसे देखना है, आपने स्टार्टअप्स के इकोसिस्टम के साथ कैसे कनेक्ट करना है, और ये भी सारा चूँकि यूनिवर्सिटी से भी आ रहा है, मल्टीपल टाइप्स ऑफ इंक्यूबेशन सेंटर से आ रहा है, तो हम उनके साथ किस तरीके से कनेक्टेड हैं, वी कनेक्ट विद ऑल ऑफ देम and we create that impetus for them to engage with us as an organization also, so that जहाँ पे हमें लगता है कि there is potential within Pakistan, we try and engage with that potential, whether that's women in STEM or it's startups or the startup scene or the fintechs. So whether we are collaborating with them, either we are collaborating or we are providing them a platform which they can utilize. और अभी आपको शायद पता होगा कि हमारा Singapore FinTech Festival में we took about 10 of our winners. We conducted a across Pakistan hackathon, and this was done by people in organization excellence and helping the digital हमारा जो CDO है उनको. So हम jointly बहुत से ऐसे collaborative projects करते हैं जहाँ पे हम clearly define कर सकें going forward the kind of requirements that we have and how we are going to fill them up through trainings, through capacity building, through also competitions, through various types of collaborations. That's how we are taking it forward.
All right, thank you for that. आलिया, अगर मैं अहमद, अगर मैं आपसे पूछूं, बिकॉज आप डिजिटल चैनल्स पे आपका काफी एक्सपीरियंस रहा है. If we look at the current scenario in terms of banks are primarily generating funding to give out loans, of course that's the basic principle, and most of it, जिस तरह पहले फैसल ने भी जिक्र किया कि through the brick and mortar setup, there is personal engagement with the clients, चाहे वो rural हो चाहे वो urban हो. And it's one of the main sources of low cost and stable funding. आजकल तो शायद low cost नहीं है, given the high interest rate environment, but still funding is critical and bulk of it comes from through the branches. Now as we move towards the digital retail banks, most likely is early next year, I think they will be launching their operations. How do you see I wouldn't say a disconnect, but this pure digital versus personal relationship based banking basically? Do you foresee के जो digital retail banks होंगे उनके लिए थोड़ा सा challenge होगा, because they are not, there's no physical presence. Customers के पास जब वो जाएंगे, ठीक है, जो हमारे जो Gen Z and beyond जो हमारी population है या जो urban population है, exposed population है, they are familiar with, I think, digital banking. But जो larger हमारा जो पूरा इतना बड़ा segment है, how do you foresee how that challenge do you think they'll be able to manage without physical relationships and physical engagements? ये funding किस तरह arrange कर पाएंगे आपके ख्याल से?
So मीर साहब हर चैलेंज के अंदर ना एक अपॉर्चुनिटी होती है, एंड इफ दे टैप ऑन दैट अपॉर्चुनिटी करेक्टली तो आई थिंक बहुत रूम है जिसमें वो प्ले कर सकते हैं. सो जो कन्वेंशनल बैंक हैं, अगर आप उनसे लोन लेते हैं तो इट्स राइट नाउ अ वेरी पेनफुल प्रोसेस, यू नो, इन टर्म्स ऑफ नंबर ऑफ डेज और द काइंड ऑफ डॉक्यूमेंटेशन विच इज रिक्वायर्ड, और सारा कुछ उस पर काम बहुत हो रहा है कि उसको हम बेहतर कर सकें. एंड ऑब्वियसली विद द डिजिटल विंग ऑफ दीज कन्वेंशनल बैंक्स ऑल्सो देयर इज सम इम्प्रूवमेंट, लेकिन मुझे लगता है कि अभी भी बहुत इम्प्रूवमेंट की गुंजाइश है. तो सबसे पहले तो जो ये जो डिजिटल बैंक्स आ रहे हैं, आई थिंक उनके पास एक तो एज ये है कि इनकी low cost of operation है, तो maybe they can give slightly better you know rates to their customers. So एक इनका value proposition ये हो सकता है. दूसरी बात ये कि if you know they make use of the technology in the real sense, तो then they can you know have different personas in mind, और फिर उसके हिसाब से products को craft कर सकते हैं. So you know there could be many products in the market जो कि हम टेलर कर सकते हैं for women entrepreneurs जो कि घर से बैठ के काम कर रही हैं, या SMEs, या you know whatever, और इस प्रोसेस को स्मूथ बना सकते हैं. सो प्रोसेस को स्मूथ बनाने के लिए ऑब्वियसली इफ यू आर डिजिटाइज, तो यू नो आप सारा कुछ उसको इस तरह से कस्टमर को ऑफर करेंगे, उसको सब कुछ समझ भी आए ना. अभी तो हमारी जो बैंकिंग प्रोसेसेस हैं उसमें जो जो नंबर ऑफ डॉक्यूमेंट्स जो उसको साइन करने होते हैं वही देख के उसका दिमाग घूम जाता है. सो मेक इट इनटू अ लैंग्वेज, और आई थिंक लैंग्वेज इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट एज वेल. सो यू नो उर्दू में या रीजनल लैंग्वेजेस में अगर हम इस प्रोसेस को ऑफर करें इन द डिजिटल टेक्नोलॉजी तो उनको बहुत आसान लगेगा. एंड ऑब्वियसली जब मेरे पास बहुत सारे लोगों से मैं बात करती थी, यू नो व्हेन आई वाज देयर इन पाकिस्तान, स्पेशली जो हमारी पॉकेट्स हैं, यू नो द सेमी अर्बन और रूरल एरियाज, सो वो बैंकिंग के बारे में तो सुन के ही वो परेशान हो जाते हैं, चकरा जाते हैं, बिकॉज हम बैंकर जब बात भी कर रहे होते हैं तो हमारी जो जुबान होती है, हम टर्मिनोलॉजीज जो यूज कर रहे होते हैं विदाउट इवन रियलाइजिंग दे आर वेरी डिफिकल्ट फॉर देम टू अंडरस्टैंड. So I think keeping all these things in mind, there's a lot of potential जिस पे ये banks काम कर सकते हैं, because they are starting from the scratch. So वो एक तो bankers की hat पहनकर ना सोचे, they should think from the consumer perspective. तो I think there is a lot of improvement that can be done. और पर्सनलाइजेशन इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. जो कि कस्टमर्स हम बात करते हैं, हम बैंकर्स भी हम बात करते हैं, कन्वेंशनल बैंकर्स, लेकिन वो हो नहीं सकता क्योंकि हमारा स्केल इतना बड़ा है. लेकिन सिंस दे आर कमिंग इनटू द मार्केट, मे बी दे कैन लुक एट वन पर्सोना एंड डेवलप समथिंग फॉर दैट पर्सोना, एंड देन यू नो लुक एट अनदर पर्सोना. सो उसको इस तरह से कट कर ले स्टेजेस में and offer that segment something which is truly relevant for them.
Okay, thank you for those insights. Yes, I think that there are definitely you know opportunities there as well. I think abhi bhi kafi sare segments hamare you know especially in the SME and you know that segment, even agri segment. I think especially commercial banks wahan nahi pahunch paaye hain, aur jahan pe ab fintechs I think are you know creating some they're bridging the gap I think. Uh, but isi ko leke aage chalte hue Faisal, if I may ask you, uh, you know, if you look at globally also, you know, the digital only banks, bade naam hai, Revolut and Monzo and Starling, and you know, you guys know better than I do. But profitability perspective से अगर देखा जाए, तो I think अभी तक बहुत ही I think गिने चुने banks होंगे, चाहे वो South East Asia में हो या Western markets में हो. Very few are profitable. Majority जो है अभी तक they are in the red. तो अगर मैं पाकिस्तान कॉन्टेक्स्ट में बात करूं तो इफ आई, क्योंकि अभी डिजिटल बैंक तो स्टार्ट हुए नहीं है, डिजिटल ओनली में अभी जो EMIs आए हैं बेसिकली, जिनमें से आई थिंक कुछ यू नो पैकअप करके चले भी गए हैं और कुछ ने लाइसेंस विड्रॉ कर लिए हैं, क्योंकि यू नो दे आई एम नॉट श्योर व्हाट द रीजंस आर, बट EMIs आर प्राइमरीली रिलाइंग ऑन फी इनकम, क्योंकि वो यू नो लोन्स तो दे नहीं सकते हैं अंडर दैट लाइसेंस. तो डिजिटल, अच्छा मैं कमर्शियल बैंक्स को देखूं तो ऑफ कोर्स बल्क ऑफ देयर इनकम कम्स फ्रॉम इंटरेस्ट इनकम एंड द सेकेंडरी इज द फी इनकम. तो ये जो अब डिजिटल बैंक्स हैं, of course they are allowed to do lending as well, but what use cases, what is it that they'll be doing different, you think, or what would be the key use cases, or what gaps do you think they'll be filling in the market जो already 40-45 institutions जो है वो नहीं कर पा रहे हैं. We have अब तो 13 माइक्रो फाइनेंस हो गए हैं banks. With the big five, big six banks, already dominant in the Pakistan, banking space. So, how do you see the financial viability, of these digital enterprises which are coming up? Because I mean, it is going to be a challenge in a high inflationary, high interest, rate environment. What are your thoughts on that?
So, Mir Saab, I totally agree with you. I think there are very few, probably handful of banks globally which are pure digital and still profitable. So the jury is still out yet in Pakistan that how this will evolve. But we have very high expectations. शोर तो काफी मचा है कि जी डिजिटल बैंक होने चाहिए, अब आ रहे हैं तो देखते हैं कि क्या वो कारनामा अंजाम देंगे. But having said that, I think if it's an opportunity, we look at it as an opportunity. और Alia Ahmed भी इस बात की बात इस पे focus कर रही थी कि with every challenge comes an opportunity also. So I totally agree with that. There is an opportunity, but you know how to really capitalize on it. And I'll go back to your previous question जो आपने पूछा था. I think Alia से पूछा था कि ये deposits कैसे raise कर सकेंगे banks? You deposit होंगे तो आगे lend होगा. और so to raise deposit, जो element मैं आपसे पहले बात कर रहा था, the element of trust needs to be really, really focused upon. But how will this trust, come in? How does it come into the equation or into the picture? It comes through when you are extremely transparent, when you are extremely agile, you are totally customer focused, and you are following the regulations and the compliance regime of the jurisdiction. So with a combination of all these factors comes in the trust element as an output, which takes time, which takes effort and time to really develop that. But having said that, there are you can really differentiate themselves. They can differentiate themselves through innovative products and services. हम यही सोच रहे हैं कि उनकी कॉस्ट बेस कम होगी, थोड़े से लोग होंगे जो काम कर रहे होंगे इन डिजिटल एंटरप्राइजेस के अंदर, इनका कॉस्ट स्ट्रक्चर कम होगा. They will be leveraging a lot of fintech network. They'll be leveraging a lot of other disruptive technologies. They'll be focusing more on open banking and other initiatives like that. So they will collaborate with a lot of people in the other organization, the ecosystem. So their cost structure technically should be lower. They might be focusing on cloud, related technologies or cloud computing. So unka cost kam hona chahiye. That's one requirement. If the cost is less, they can leverage it more and become more innovative and create the differentiation. Second thing, which probably as banking as a whole, generally a criticism ka us pe rehta hai element is the customer service. पुराने बैंक्स हैं, बड़े बैंक्स हैं, हर किस्म के कस्टमर्स हैं, हमेशा एक डिफरेंशिएशन ज़रूर रहती है. So that's another area where these new entrants can focus on and really capitalize on improving and providing exceptional, not just a better, but exceptional customer service to their customers, so that the traffic flows or they grow the market altogether. New people come into it. Third thing I realized where we are also struggling. I mean, generally the bank, the conventional side of the banks, the use of data analytics and the personalized marketing, that how you can tailor-made products, customized products for them for different niches, and penetrate into the markets where others have either been thinking about or haven't thought about altogether. So that is how they will be able to capitalize on the opportunities that exist in the market. आलिया अहमद ने भी बात की कि जी हमारे प्रोसेसेस बहुत आर्किएक होते हैं, थोड़े से खौफनाक भी होते हैं. That's true, but at the same time we have to ensure we have to live in a certain reality or where FATF exists and all those things exist, and we have to ensure that compliance and all those factors are really taken care of. So simplified and streamlined onboarding of customers needs is another area that we can focus on. कि किस तरीके से onboarding को वो seamless कर सकते हैं, किस तरीके से और आसान बना सकते हैं. How they can really leverage the mobile based, the GSM based technology and bring in new financial tools into it, uh, tailor-made financial solutions, focus on micro loans where the big banks are not focusing on, or because we don't have time, or we don't have the resources available. So that's the niche that they can probably focus on through collaboration or through their own network. Focus on areas like women entrepreneurs. Focus on areas like the micro part of the equation in the SMEs, or the small part, the S part in the SMEs. Focus there. Focus on e-commerce platforms, creating digital platforms or payment platforms in their ecosystem. So these are the niches where they can focus on and create that impact, which will in turn improve or help them improve their profitability, and they can be a sustainable organization.
Right. I think you have touched upon some very critical, points. We will talk about the gender gap and especially addressing this issue, especially for women. Uh, but tell me something in your experience. Obviously, you guys and Alia, Abi, you can jump in if you like for all the panels. Do you really see कि digital literacy, क्योंकि literacy rate हमारे मुल्क में roughly I think it's 60 odd%. I don't know what that means. But then we talk about financial literacy or digital literacy. वो I think काफी कम है. And if you look at the female or the women segment, वहाँ और भी ज़्यादा कम है. Do you think it's really necessary as a prerequisite for digital adoption to really increase? Or is that a big hurdle do you see? फैसल आप
So,
बोलना चाहें या आलिया आई मीन इट्स ओपन टू द फोरम
Alia, please go ahead. मैंने अभी अपनी टर्न ली है, so I would request you to go ahead
ठीक है,
first.
I'll start. So देखिए, मैं आपको अपना पर्सनल एक्सपीरियंस बताती हूँ. So when I joined UBL, हमारे कोई 300,000 कस्टमर्स थे जो कि डिजिटल प्लेटफॉर्म पे रजिस्टर्ड थे, यानी हमारी ऐप और इंटरनेट बैंकिंग के ऊपर. And when I left them back in September, so we were in millions. But this process happened with a lot of sweat and blood that we had to put in, unlike the other developed market. यहाँ पर जैसे फैसल भी बात कर रहे थे कि वो जो आपका ट्रस्ट लेवल क्रिएट हमें करना पड़ा ना कस्टमर्स के साथ, although के they know UBL whatever, लेकिन जो हमने इनिशियल रिसर्चेस करवाई तो उसमें कस्टमर्स ने हमें कहा कि अगर हम ऐप यूज कर रहे हैं, दिस इज आवर हार्ड अर्न मनी, और कोई हमसे गलती से बटन दब गया तो हमारे पैसे गायब हो जाएंगे, या हमारा मोबाइल फोन चोरी हो जाएगा तो विच मींस कि हमारे सारे पैसे गायब हो जाएंगे. सो these were some of the questions that they had in their mind, and they were scared to use digital technology. So we had employed a big team in our contact center, which was an outbound team, and they were calling our customers, जो कि हमारे इस वक्त रिटेल के customers थे, और उन्होंने उनकी literally hand holding की how to register on the app, और जो सबसे हमारी आसान ट्रांजैक्शन होती है ना, वो मोबाइल टॉपअप की होती है. So वो हमने उन कस्टमर्स को मोबाइल टॉपअप की ट्रांजैक्शन करवाई while we were there on the phone, and we gave them that peace of mind कि anything that will happen, we will make sure कि हम हैं आपके पीछे खड़े हुए. After that, we've seen the same customers doing multiple and 100 of transactions. वो अपनी फिर bill payments भी करते थे, वो अपनी wealth management की भी transactions हमारी ऐप पे करते थे. But it was the first वो जो कहते हैं ना inducing trial. So that was the challenge. So I think Pakistan wali market mein still we broke that through this personal interaction, or wahi this is going on. So there are customers jo ke obviously digital savvy hote hain, and if you give them a video, they'll be able to register themselves and do their transactions. But there are majority of the customers are like that कि जिनको हमें बहुत hand holding की और comfort or peace of mind देने की जरूरत पड़ी, and then they adopted the technology, and this they're pursuing that. So I think it is very important in Pakistan market कि हमारे पास ये सारे digital tools भी हों और ये personal interaction भी हो for people to adopt technology.
Yeah, thank you for that. And I think all
like to add here a
जी
point. मेरे ख्याल में देखिए, जब आप डिजिटल लिटरेसी की और फाइनेंशियल डिजिटल लिटरेसी प्लस फाइनेंशियल इंक्लूजन की और स्पेशली औरतों की जब बात होती है, तो आई थिंक सबसे जो मुझे प्रॉब्लमेटिक नज़र आता है प्रॉब्लम यहाँ पे एटलीस्ट, पाकिस्तान में वो और ख़ास तौर पे बैंकिंग इंडस्ट्री में कि we've not really even approached the baseline problem, and we've just started doing that in the last two years, I think, hardly. हमारे जो डाटा है, हमारे पास डाटा ही नहीं है, पहली चीज़ विद इन पाकिस्तान. और अगर आप ये देखें तो अराउंड एशिया में भी एक्सेस टू डाटा on these baseline analytics is not really clearly available. So पहली चीज़, what you cannot calculate and analyze, you won't be able to really take it anywhere. So we need to first understand that. Secondly, आपके जो social issues हैं, they go hand in hand, especially when you talk about financial inclusion, financial literacy, digital literacy. Any digital literacy campaign that you may have will really not provide that access to women, because women are not provided the baseline empowerment. So the issues, the social issues are embedded into the empowerment issues are embedded into this problem of digital literacy. And then affordability, or what kind of affordability we have in terms of mobile technology, for example. Whether we want to talk about empowerment through mobile technology, is there any leveraging of use of mobile phones? It's not possible, because आप घर में 3 मोबाइल फोन्स भी दे दें और स्मार्टफोन भी दे दें, तो उसको एक्सेस किसको है? घर के आदमियों का है, औरतों को है ही नहीं. So the problems relating to the digital transformation, at least of the society, go way deeper than just one industry, and it needs to be looked at very holistically. It can't be just, हम 4 चीजें यहाँ पे कर दें और वो उससे ठीक हो जाएगा. It won't.
Yes, I think there's no doubt that there's a long journey ahead, especially in terms of societal issue, patriarchal. Abhi bhi hamara kafi system is there. Women are not really empowered within their own households. Wo issues definitely hai. Main, just in line with that, I was looking at Kashf Foundation's numbers. It's quite amazing. I mean, they have, I think, close to 600,000 customers. I think 99% are women. And they're all borrowers. And out of that, I think almost 2/3 of their clients, which are, like I said, women, use mobile, technology to do their banking and for their loan disbursements and utilization, basically. So at least that what that tells me is that yes, I mean they've put in a lot of effort and they've put in a lot of time in education and training these women to use it. So I think there are some very good pockets of uh, such examples where I think it is possible, and they have done a great job, and I'm sure many other institutions are doing the same. But Alia, Zafar, अगर इसी चीज को मैं थोड़ा सा, if I just go back, you know, pre-COVID, 2019 se leke, and then of course, everything went through a major, especially the technology part and the adoption part post-COVID or during COVID really, hiked up exponentially. And obviously, a lot of things transformed very quickly. और हम लोग भी, अगर मैं प्योरली स्टाफिंग के पर्सपेक्टिव से बात करूं, तो ऑलमोस्ट वी वेंट फ्रॉम मे बी 90% टू रिमोट, with some, minimal people, within the branches of the financial institutions. But I would say the big majority was working remotely because of the pandemic. And as the pandemic kind of, swayed away, and now if we look at it, we went into a hybrid format, and now we are pretty much, I think, maybe 90% back to the physical, maybe 95%. आपका क्या experience रहा है? How do you foresee this in the last few years, this change from pure remote to hybrid to the current situation? Do you see that a hybrid form of work environment is beneficial? Is it different? Is it useful? Is it cost efficient? And how do you see it going forward? What are your thoughts on that?
So I started working in hybrid way before, I think, the pandemic hit us. I was with World Food Program in Rome, and we essentially got this hybrid working earlier than than the the whole world in the sense when we were hit by the pandemic. What I can say about it, I absolutely believe in hybrid working. Uh, the reason is very simple. The baseline of all of these uh, is not just the cost cutting, because cost cutting is definitely one part of it, one big part of it, but more from the employee well-being and empowerment perspective. As you go forward and as you interact with Gen Z and millennials um, and resources who are not really willing to or do not have the type of work style that you have had for the last 30 years, they do not want to interact with their employer the way traditionally they wanted to. So the 9 to 5 really goes out of the window for a lot of people. So retaining, even attracting them, what to say, retaining them becomes a challenge. And it's extremely important that we are able to incorporate all these elements. So, from the perspective of innovation and collaboration, from the perspective of employee well being, from the perspective of cost savings, from the perspective of resilience and business continuity, also from talent acquisition to retention, flexibility, and having a work life balance. There are so many aspects actually which go positive when you go hybrid. So our organization actually is working on hybrid where we can, because we are essential services. We were open with 50% workforce in offices even when the whole country was not. And yet we were able to manage it extremely efficiently. And while going through that transformation, I think the banks did realize that it's great to have that kind of flexibility. However, the challenge always is having a very traditional approach towards people management, which we find in the banking industry in Pakistan. And moving them away requires a change in terms of thinking patterns and thought leadership coming from the leaders of the industry. And I think that will take a little bit more time. Organizations are across the world, globally, banks have moved towards hybrid already, and it's a permanent form of work that we see outside Pakistan. In Pakistan, we still don't have it to that extent, and yet I do see a little bit of movement in this industry. We tend to be slightly slower in our responses to these kind of things, but I think it will happen because there are too many positives for going for this kind of work.
True. I think also in certain organizations, of course, हमारा sales का culture बहुत strong है, where they always, you have to have feet on street. अभी हमारा, and then, and I think also, मुझे भी याद है when I was in banking or when we were quite junior, वो bosses का जो trust level था ना कि यार ये बंदा आज नहीं आया, ये छुट्टी मार रहा है, घर से काम कर रहा है, but that hardly happened. But I think वो trust level का या culture का भी एक issue है मेरा ख्याल से कि यार ये
It's more of a culture of control issue rather than a
right,
people, and plus a people management issue, because if
right,
you as supervisor do not know how to manage your own people when they are online and they're working online, the problem is with you as well. And I think as we go up the ladder, people don't really realize that it's really about a power issue and a people
right.
management issue. And when you combine it, it becomes a real challenge. So yes, you're absolutely right. ये मसले हैं हमारे और ये थोड़ा दिन लगेंगे इसको ठीक होने में certainly.
No, true. And I frankly thought that post-COVID with this remote working, and I think everyone realized that, listen, काम फिर भी हो सकता है. सिर्फ अगर थोड़े processes change हो जाएं, the level of trust, and we build certain, things around it. But hopefully, I think that change will, happen and continue. Just moving forward, Faisal, of course, along with the digital transactions or any banking financial transactions, the issue of fraud and cyber security and all that element comes into play. मैं अभी उससे कुछ अर्सा पहले I was we were discussing about the investment in technology. Of course, we don't, sitting outside in public domain, we don't have access to exactly how much banks are spending or financial institutions are spending on security, cyber security, ho gaya, fraud detection software, and so on and so forth, the various tools that are available. But overall, the tech spend hai, in Pakistan amongst the 20 odd banks I was looking at, it was around 5% or 6% or less of their total revenue. जबकि बैंक्स प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी आप देखें तो इट्स ब्रेकिंग रिकॉर्ड एवरी टाइम in billions, especially अगर मैं top 10, 15, 20 banks को भी देखूं तो everyone, well, all banks are pretty much in profit after tax in billions. So where do you see do you see that banks are actually realizing and investing in security and fraud management or fraud detection solutions? कई दफा ऐसा होता है कि यार they'll invest in a very solid platform, maybe they'll spend a few $1 million on a core banking solution or some other platform, but जहाँ पे टेक्नोलॉजी जहाँ फ्रॉड डिटेक्शन या फ्रॉड मैनेजमेंट की बात आ जाती है या साइबर सिक्योरिटी की बात आ जाती है, वहां पे फिर वो जरा थोड़े ठंडे हो जाते हैं. तो आपका क्या एक्सपीरियंस रहा है, व्हाट डू यू सी इन दिस मार्केट के इधर कोई focused approach के साथ investments, and एक तो realization of course, and then the investments within the cyber security and overall fraud detection and fraud prevention के ऊपर कोई नजरसानी है financial institutions की, especially now that we are moving more towards the digital side.
Mirchap, I totally agree with you. I think as not just as banking as an industry, but country as a whole needs to focus more on the cybersecurity and the information security part. I think there is certainly a focus now, starting from the government level down to the financial services also. I mean, we as हमने काफी दफा बहुत जगहों पे ये बोला है कि we at HVL, we primarily think of ourselves as a technology company with a banking license, not the other way around. So if we are that, then obviously for us, anything to do with technology and information security, because being a DSIP bank, it is critically important for us and a couple of more organizations in the country to ensure that we have robust security systems working 24/7 for us and for the customers. So we do invest heavily into those. Is the focus there? I would say yes, the focus is there. Can it be improved? Of course, it can be improved. Can we have more investment going into the information security? Yes, we need more investments and more smarter investments going into the into this domain. So when I say smarter investment, I'll link this with your second part of your question, which was around using technology and new digitalization or new disruptive technologies around info security also. So one area which I think us and some other banks, I'm sure, are focusing more on is the usage of machine learning and artificial intelligence, where they can really focus on improving, their security parameters. For instance, real-time transaction monitoring is an area where the transactions are taking place on a real-time basis. Somebody is eyeballing them, or you have those traditional systems which are actually monitoring those and highlighting based on rules. But when you bring the element of artificial intelligence in it, then this whole analyzing the transaction patterns, the identifying anomalies, flagging threats, etc., and pursuing investigation, this all becomes automated. This all becomes more scientific and more it keeps on improving with the machine learning aspects in it. So that's one area to really focus on. The fraud detection patterns is again an important aspect, where you have that pool of data already available in our systems, thousands of bytes and megabytes and gigabytes of data available with us all the time. We can deploy certain algorithms over there to really come up with patterns which can help us forecast कि ऐसा भी फ्रॉड हो सकता है गोइंग फॉरवर्ड किसी कस्टमर के साथ या किसी ग्रुप ऑफ कस्टमर के साथ, हाउ टू रिएक्ट टू इट, हाउ टू स्टॉप इट. The customer behaviors profiling can also be leveraged through, or can be improved through usage of these technologies, especially artificial intelligence. सोशल इंजीनियरिंग डिटेक्शंस, ये तो हम हर जगह इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं, मोर और लेस हर बैंक में इस्तेमाल हो रहा है कि वहाँ पे आप मशीन लर्निंग रिलेटेड टूल्स इस्तेमाल करके यू कैन काउंटर those attempts. I was reading that there's a lot of things happening कि bots भी अब आ गए हैं जो कि attempt कर रहे होते हैं continuously to attack, to bring in malwares and attack systems. So to counter those bots also you need bots. So it's like it's a continuous game that जो cyber attackers हैं वो एक step आगे होते हैं, हम लोग या तो उनको फॉलो कर रहे होते हैं या कोशिश करते हैं कि उनको मैच कर लें. So this is a continuous war battle going on between the two groups all the time, and this is high time for all the financial sector players to really focus on info security as a whole, because this is customer data, customer privacy, highly important information. So all your major strategies in the bank, if you have hundreds of them, this should certainly be in the top 10 priority and the strategy of an institution.
Yes, thank you very much for that. And certainly, I think some of the larger banks, they are, and some other banks also are investing, in that area, and especially using AI. And but AI के लिए, of course, you have to have historical data. And जो आपने data analytics की बात की, I think that is absolutely crucial. That how, the quality of data, I think is absolutely critical. And I think in our country, and similarly, I think a lot of banks across the world have this issue of legacy banks with multiple systems, with multiple databases, with various ways of inputting data, and then migrating it into some form of the tables where the right data can be properly used. इसी से रिलेटेड आलिया, अहमद, अगर मैं आपसे पूछूं, क्योंकि आपने चैनल्स भी मैनेज किए हुए हैं, what we the एक है digital adoption. I mean, of course, I mean, you can have a number of customers. We have seen number of transactions, they're growing exponentially, उसमें कोई शक नहीं है. But it could be the repeat customer. I mean, how many customers are actually migrating to digital channels? I mean, वो जो banks में लोग काम कर रहे हैं उनके पास तो data है, but as sitting outside the banking system in the public domain, we don't see कि actual migration कितनी हो रही है. अगर एक बैंक के let's say 10 million customers हैं, how many of them are actually using digital channels basically? Yeah, number of transactions तो ठीक है, but that doesn't tell me how many customers have actually migrated. तो इस पे आपका क्या thought process है कि what do you think digital adoption as far as number of customers are concerned moving to digital, उस पे आपका क्या thought process? Is that really picking up, or is it gradually picking up? I know transactions तो छत को लग रही हैं in terms of growth, उसमें कोई शक नहीं है if I compare it to the last few years. But number of customers कितने migrate हो रहे हैं, आपका क्या उस पे thought process?
अच्छा, बहुत हाई नंबर था हमारा, और एक्चुअली हम इसको जो है ना डिफरेंट कट्स डाटा के निकाल के देखते थे टू रियली अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट्स हैपनिंग. सो देखें, जब हम डिजिटल अडॉप्शन की बात करते हैं ना, तो उसके भी डिफरेंट फेजेस होते हैं. सो इफ अ कस्टमर रजिस्टर ऑन एन ऐप दैट इज डिजिटल अडॉप्शन, लेकिन दैट्स नॉट इनफ. और अगर वो सिर्फ अपना आके बैलेंस देख रहा है ऐप पे, तो भी वो एक ट्रांजैक्शन, नॉन फाइनेंशियल ट्रांजैक्शन तो कर रहा है आपके साथ, राइट? बट दैट्स नॉट इनफ. फिर अगर एक कस्टमर है जो कि सिर्फ और सिर्फ आके जो IBFT कर रहा है, देन ऑफ कोर्स दैट कस्टमर इज डूइंग ट्रांजैक्शन. हम ये भी देखते थे कि हमारे वो कस्टमर्स कितने हैं जो कि अपनी 90% ऑफ द ट्रांजैक्शंस थ्रू डिजिटल मीडियम्स कर रहे हैं. डिजिटल मीडियम्स में ऑब्वियसली वी वर टेकिंग ऐप, नेट बैंकिंग, ATM, ये सारे हम चैनल्स लेते थे कि अगर वो ब्रांच में नहीं आ रहा कस्टमर और अपनी बैंकिंग नीड्स जो है फुलफिल कर रहा है थ्रू एनी अदर डिजिटल मीडियम्स, तो वो कितना है. सो दैट नंबर, सो 90%, 80%, 70% हम सारे कट्स निकाल कर देखते थे. और ऐसे कस्टमर्स भी थे जो कि 50% ऑफ देयर ट्रांजैक्शन दे वर डूइंग थ्रू ब्रांचेस एंड 50% थ्रू डिजिटल चैनल्स. तो वो फिर हमारे वो कस्टमर्स होते थे जिनको हम स्पेशल फोकस करते थे टू इंश्योर कि उनको हम 100% डिजिटल पे लेकर आए. So, that number is definitely increasing, and there was a lot of focus, at least in UBL, to ensure कि हम अपने customers को graduate करें. And unless कि cash deposit है, which is like you don't have an option, they don't go to a branch to do their transaction because there is no point. Okay, repetitive transactions के लिए आपको बैंक में जाने की जरूरत नहीं, unless and until के if you want some solutions to wealth management या कोई ऐसे जो हम चाहते हैं कि हमारी branches future में ना service centers हों where we can give advice to our customers about banking needs जो कि fulfill ना हो सकें through app or other mediums, digital mediums.
Because if I look at just the transactions alone, so obviously they give a very nice ring to it because the numbers are quite good. I mean, just to give you, अभी मैं हिसाब लगा रहा था कि ATM transactions जो card पे होती हैं, I think they've grown by 55% over the last 2-3 years since 2019. Internet banking transactions they have grown by over 300%. Mobile banking transactions have grown by over 1,000%. Just since 2019. And e-commerce transactions जो कि purely debit card और credit card पे हैं, COD का तो हमारे पास कोई data है नहीं, तो वो that is also above 400%. So this is a very good trajectory, no doubt. But अगर मैं ये देखूं कि यार इस वक्त कितने लेट्स से अगर मैं पॉइंट ऑफ सेल कार्ड की ट्रांजैक्शन की बात करूं तो हार्डली 6 ट्रांजैक्शंस पर ईयर होती हैं पॉइंट ऑफ सेल टर्मिनल्स के ऊपर पर कार्ड. there are about 34 million कार्ड्स, डेबिट कार्ड्स जो हैं. इसी तरह इंटरनेट बैंकिंग में मैं देखूं तो हार्डली 18 ट्रांजैक्शंस पर ईयर होती हैं जितने हमारे इंटरनेट रजिस्टर्ड इंटरनेट बैंकिंग यूजर्स हैं जो स्टेट बैंक फिगर्स छापता है. और इसी तरह मोबाइल बैंकिंग की 11 ट्रांजैक्शंस पर ईयर होती हैं पर यूजर. तो अगर मैं उस हिसाब से देखूं तो वो वी आर वे बिहाइंड इन टर्म्स ऑफ मे बी जितनी ट्रांजैक्शंस हो रही हैं, बिकॉज ऑब्वियसली यू हैव टू लुक एट इट फ्रॉम नंबर ऑफ यूजर्स कितने हैं और कितने वो ट्रांजैक्ट कर रहे हैं. तो आई थिंक उधर इवन तो ग्रोथ हुई है, बट आई थिंक वी स्टिल हैव अ long way to go. And but मैं जो सवाल आपसे करना चाह रहा था also which is part and parcel of it is कि जो एक्टिवेशन जो एक्टिव कस्टमर्स होते हैं वो बहुत रिलेटिवली कम होते हैं. जो हमें सिर्फ ब्रांचलेस बैंकिंग का जो मैं डेटा देखता हूँ उसके अंदर हमें वो इंफॉर्मेशन मिल जाती है कि आउट ऑफ दे हैव नाउ ओवर आई थिंक कितने हैं उनके, आई थिंक ओवर 100 million दे हैव क्रॉस्ड नंबर ऑफ मोबाइल वॉलेट्स. 106 million के करीब हैं आई थिंक. But जो active users हैं is hardly 42 million, it's like 44-45%. So quickly, I think now we are coming to a close. So अगर आप इसके ऊपर quickly कुछ बताना चाहें कि why the active
So active customer की definition usually banks जो हैं वो ये लेते हैं पाकिस्तान में कि अगर किसी customer ने 3 महीने में एक transaction, financial transaction की, so that is seen as an active customer. राइट. और जैसे मैंने आपको बताया कि देर आर डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ कस्टमर्स. तो अगर यूपीएल की मैं बात करूं तो जो हमारे एक्टिव ट्रांजैक्टिंग कस्टमर्स थे दे वर डूइंग 7 और समटाइम्स 8 ट्रांजैक्शंस पर मंथ. दैट वाज देयर टीपीसी, सो ऑन एन एवरेज, राइट. सो अगेन इट ऑल डिपेंड्स कि आप किस कस्टमर पर्सोना को देख रहे हैं. उसमें जैसे मैंने आपको बताया कि जो रजिस्टर्ड खाली कस्टमर्स हैं वो एक टाइप है, देन देयर आर एक्टिव ट्रांजैक्टिंग कस्टमर्स, देन देयर आर कस्टमर्स हु आर डूइंग 100% ऑफ देयर ट्रांजैक्शंस थ्रू डिजिटल मीडियम्स. सो वो हमारे पास जो मिलियन ऑफ कस्टमर्स हैं उनको फिर हम डिफरेंट कट्स में देखते हैं. एंड देन these customers which are doing relatively less transactions, they are slowly and gradually graduating towards adoption of digital 100%. Yeah.
Chale, we'll pick this topic up. I think it is a lot more to drill down in terms of understanding the customer behavior and how we can, collectively, since we're all in the part of the same industry, we can, promote and support these initiatives. But once again, I think I've run over the time. But thank you so much for everyone for your time and for taking out from your precious work schedules. So really appreciate on behalf of CxO Global Forum, and look forward to seeing you again and getting your feedback for the betterment of the country and for the drive that we are going towards. So thank you once again.
Thank you, Mirza.
Thank you, Ji.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.